Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo rant. We'll get to the questions and I'm going to rant a little bit on something as well today. So let's get started. I broke 3 shinai at my last taikai. All the breaks occurred on the side panel, on the spine side of the shinai. The breaks are the long, unrepairable sort. Do you know what causes these kind of breaks? Well, there isn't a single cause for that sort of break, unfortunately. It could be anything. It could be, obviously, without seeing your kendo, it's hard for me to sort of judge. Incorrect tenuchi, the actual striking, using the hands and the wrists properly, if you do that wrong, is probably the biggest contributor to broken shinai, in my experience. So, you know, lots of people have the right hand too engaged, and that leads to sort of an incorrect, how can I say, it leads to the shinai actually acting in the incorrect way when it on impact with the opponent's bogu, and that does result in breakages. But obviously, without seeing your individual kendo, it's hard for me to say that. You know, I don't know how long you had the shinai for. I don't know if they're a brand new shinai or if you've had them for ages, or what kind of practice or how much you've used them. So it's a bit hard for me to answer that on the internet for you. But I would definitely consider your tenuchi. Think if it's something to do with that. Have a think about that. Maybe if you've got a chance to watch any videos and see if you've got of yourself, that is, see if you've got any sort of issues with too much power in your right hand. Okay, next one. In general, what would you say is the right way to think regarding how much you can spend on your equipment? For example, I am, and I think rightfully so, cautious when purchasing kendo equipment so that I don't spend too much on something that's too high quality for my level. It would feel disrespectful to turn up with gear that is higher quality than somebody senior, although in many cases I'd be happy to pay for a finer product. If I just consider my own interests. What's your take on this? Also, in particular, what kind of bogu would you recommend to somebody who is in their early 20s, second dan for almost 2 years, but only competes a couple of times a year? I don't see myself being able to afford multiple bogu sets for a while. However, I would still like to feel I'm not putting myself at a disadvantage in competition by only owning something like the Vanguard, for example. Okay, great. Fantastic question. I love this question. My chair's sank. I thought I was feeling short there. Right. Right, first off, okay, I don't know why outside of Japan, like in the West, certainly in Europe, and I believe it's the same in America, because I do read a lot of comments like this, of this like, oh, well, if I'm not a really high level, I can't have a nice equipment. Of course, like, there's that sort of thing of you know, it's like someone taking up golf or something and going and spending all their money on the best golf clubs they can get or something like that. It kind of, there's a little bit of a visual disconnect, but it's wrong to judge somebody for the quality of bogu that they've bought, whether that's an expensive set or whether it's a cheap set. There are some objective facts, like really cheap sets are lower quality than really expensive sets. That's an objective fact. But saying that you're not a good enough level for a certain type of equipment is really snobby, and it's really, it's not what Kendo's supposed to be about. We're not supposed to display our ability through our appearance in terms of the equipment that we wear. Hence we don't have coloured belts for the Q grades, for example. This is why it often comes up about coloured door. I don't hear it so much anymore, but the argument about coloured door, we should have a black door. We should have a black door if you're not. Otherwise, you're going to get beat up. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And anybody that thinks like that is wrong. If you think you've got a good reason to beat up on someone because they preferred a coloured door rather than a black one, you're kendoing wrong. It's not how it's supposed to be, and it just isn't like that for the majority in Japan. I know there's not many people start kendo as adults in Japan, but those that do usually buy hand-stitched bogu as their first bogu because they can afford it, and they don't intend to quit. I mean, they obviously already know what kendo is and what it's like. Lots of them spend. I'd say I wouldn't say all of them buy hand stitch bogu these days, because hand stitch bogu is becoming much less less common. But they spend like between $1,000 and $2,000, probably $1,000 and $3,000 on their first Bogu, because they've decided to get into Kendo to commit to it. And nobody turns around to them and goes, "Oh, you're a beginner. You shouldn't be wearing Bogu like that." Nobody thinks like that. You know, you're not supposed to do it that way. Like, you're not supposed to judge people like that. So I really hate that culture that we've got in Kendo outside of Japan, of judging people because they like a different coloured door, or because they decided they wanted to spend a little bit more on their Bogu. What I think is a good amount of money to spend on your first Bogu, or you know, whether it's your first Bogu or a sort of mid-level Bogu, it's the similar kind of thing, really. I think anything between what if we talk US dollars, like around the $500, is it about? What's the exchange rate at the minute? The thing is there's really cheap stuff out there. I know there's like $300 Bogu sets out there, but they're total junk and you shouldn't buy it. I say it every video. I really think that they're a waste of money, which is why I don't sell Bogu like that. I could if I wanted to, but I don't, because I'm interested in making international Kendo better, and not just fleecing people for their money. So yeah, I mean, anything from like 450, 500-ish really, US dollars, which is probably around like 400 euros ish, obviously a bit more or less, up to I mean, up to like up to whatever you want to spend, you know what I mean. The rest is your budget. It's up to you. Like I said, it's totally I mean, I don't think you need to go and spend 3,000 euros or $3,000 on a handmade Bogu set if you're just starting out in Kendo, right? I don't think you need to do that, right? But anything in the sort of probably wouldn't go over 1,000 euros for your first set, or if you know, a sort of yeah, certainly for the first set, sort of $1,500 sort of thing. But anything down, yeah, like I say, down to that sort of $450, $500 level, sort of 400 euros level, or pounds if you're in England like I am. I think that sort of anything in that range is probably going to be a decent enough set for you. In terms of what kind for yourself, that asked the question, being second dan and not actually competing that much. Okay, now this is a different subject really, and this is because in the market now we've got different Bogu sets that seem to have different sort of purposes. Especially we have like tournament style Bogu sets. You don't need a tournament style Bogu set if you only enter tournaments once or twice a year and you're not looking at having more than one Bogu set. If you want to splash out and have several Bogu sets, which, you know, is perfectly fine, that's the sort of thing I do, then yeah, that's fine. But if you want to just have one good all-round Bogu set, what you want to be looking at is, yeah, anything like the Vanguard, the Shinobu is a great set as well, Vanguard Prime, any of those sets, you'll be more than happy with it. Right, because it'll be great for everyday Keiko, and it's perfectly fine for Shiai. It certainly isn't setting you at a disadvantage, right? Those sets, those three sets I've just mentioned, Vanguard Prime, Shinobu, none of them are heavy, all right? They're not going to weigh you down, all right? Just because there's some tournament sets that are extremely light, it doesn't mean that the Vanguard sets are super heavy. They're not. They're very, very light. They're very light as well, compared to certainly more traditional sets that you would have been looking at maybe 10 or 15 years ago, because we use sort of more modern materials now. So yeah, I mean, the Vanguard sets are based around protection, for example, but they're not, that doesn't weigh them down. They're not cumbersome, and nobody's going to get, you know, the weight difference that you get between one of these tournament sets and something like the Vanguard. You know, it's like 100 grams or something. It's like, no, but that's not enough of an advantage for anyone, right? You're not going to win or lose a Shiai on that weight difference. It's just about the comfort within the match itself. In terms of, I mean, it's like I say, you'd be perfectly fine with the Vanguard set or the Shinobu set. it's not going to weigh you down. I think that's the point I want to make. I'm starting to ramble, so I'm gonna move on. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Find me an email though if you want to talk about it more, because I can certainly advise you more accurately on that. But just to go back to your other question, I mean, I hate this sort of thing of judging people that have, you know, want to wear the coloured door or want to spend more on the Bogu. You don't do that. Don't do that. You know, people are free to spend the money on what they want. That isn't how it works. You know what I mean? That's not how we're supposed to do it. Concentrate on your own stuff, not on those of other people. Okay. Hi Andy, love the show. Thank you very much. Just got 2 questions. I know this varies among people. How long should somebody wait before getting a set of Bogu after starting Kendo? Also, how long does a set of Bogu usually last? Okay, so this is still on the Bogu questions, so quite a lot of those today. But yeah, it is varying amongst people because it really depends on the policy of your club, of your dojo. Realistically, probably after starting Kendo, I certainly don't think you want to be getting your own Bogu set within the first couple of months. But it really depends on your teacher. What I do at my club is I grade people, not me, just me, me and the other teachers at my club. We do a little grading for people that have started. After their first sort of 2 months, they have a grading that allows them to wear the Hakama and Kendogi. Then after that, it's another like 2 months down the line or something. We do another one for 6th Q. Once they get the 6th Q, then we're happy for them to wear the Bogu when they're ready to buy it. But I don't push anyone into it. It's up to them whenever they want to wear it. But I'm happy for them to start wearing it at that point. So it's like 3 or 4 months in for my students. But it really depends on yourself and your teacher. So yeah, consider that. How long a Bogu set lasts is, well, it depends on which one you buy. If you go and buy a $300 Bogu set from some suppliers out there, then yeah, you probably expect it to last for like a couple of years before you'll be wanting to replace it. So if you think that you're going to quit Kendo in a couple of years, then you could spend a couple of hundred, you know, to whatever it is, $300 or whatever these ones are now, on these lower quality, cheap and nasty Bogu sets. But if you want one that's gonna, if you spend a little bit more, this is like I said to the last question, you really want to be spending like around $500 at your base entry price. And then you're going to get something that's going to last you a long time, that's going to be well into your Dan grades, and you're going to be happy, like even testing for first Dan or second Dan, you'd be happy to wear that Bogu still. It's still going to be in a good enough state for you to wear it at those gradings. You're going to be happy to be wearing it at that level as well. So yeah, if you don't scrimp too much, then it can last you a long time. It depends. Some of the parts as well, obviously the kote might need repairing and stuff after a few years. That's kind of natural wear and tear. But otherwise, yeah, it really just depends. Like I say, set like the Vanguard, for example, that's our most popular set. The Vanguard set, the original Vanguard set, you'll get 10 years out of that with no problem whatsoever of really hardcore practice. So you know, longer really if you don't practice, if you're only practicing once or twice a week, then a lot longer actually. Right, next one. Hi Andy, love the show. Oh sorry, that's the one I've just read. You can see I'm not prepared enough for this. This next one's from the Kendo Show Early Access group. If you're not in that group, get in the group. There's a link in the description. It's a really great place where you can post your questions. It's where I post videos from the Kendo Show earlier when I have them, the instructional videos. They go there before they go anywhere else. So get in that group. It's free to join. Hi Andy and everyone. Question is there any too much in tightening the tsuru? How tight should it be? Okay, so the tsuru is the string on the back of the shinai, this here. So you're asking how tight is too tight, or if there is such a too tight. Yes, there is such a thing as too tight, but you can pull it pretty much as tight as you can within sort of sensible reason. So if it's starting to look like it's going to break, or the shinai starting to bend, then yeah, that's too tight. But otherwise, it should be very taut when you're retying it, because it's going to slacken out over time, and then every so often you want to be tightening it up. So yeah, there is such a thing as too tight, but it's quite hard to get it to too tight, to be honest. Okay, next one. I have two unrelated questions for you. Firstly, what are your thoughts on Gedan no Kamae? Is it applicable to everyday kick, or have you seen people do it in Japan? We've had this question before, haven't we? I think I started a bit of a flame war on that when I last answered it. I'm going to answer it again though. My opinion hasn't changed, for the record. The second question is, since you started doing since you started doing the Kendo Show / Kendo RANT, has it affected your personal Kendo? Do you feel like it helped you get a more in-depth look on some aspects you might have overlooked were it not for the Kendo Show in the community? And if it helped you, in what exactly? Okay, great. That's a fantastic question as well. I really love it. Right. So first, Gedan no Kamae. Is it applicable in everyday keiko? No, it's not. Not really. Some people do it. Low-level people do it. Probably won't see many people over third dan do it. Because it's like, the people that do it are what generally what are generally referred to as machiken, which means the waiting sword. So they're doing it to try and get you to hit men so that they can do like kaishido. But it's always a rubbish kaishido because they've waited for you to do it. They haven't instigated your attack. It's not how you're supposed to do ojiwaza. It's not an effective kamae. The effective kamae in Kendo, in Shinai Kendo, are Chudan and Chudan against Jodan, left Jodan. I've seen people use right Jodan, people that do one-handed Jodan, often because they've got some sort of injury or disability. Some Jodan people also do a kind of hybrid Hasso no Kamae, those sort of things. But Gedan, no, it's no good. Wakigamae, not gonna work. Okay, so yeah, it's not a super effective kamae. It just isn't. Okay, second question. Since you started doing Kendo, has the Kendo Show affected my personal Kendo? Yes, it has, in a great way. On a couple of levels. First off, I get asked loads of really great questions, and it causes me to think about things, and sometimes I have little eureka moments myself when I'm doing that, because maybe somebody asked me a question about something that I probably hadn't thought of, and it causes me to sort of sit and ponder on it and maybe even sort of philosophize on it a little bit, and it's sort of a question that I hadn't sort of considered, and then that helps me understand other aspects. So yeah, it definitely helps me in that respect. Also, obviously, I do rants from books and stuff, so it helps me revisit things that I wouldn't say I've forgotten, but like it's nice to revise a lot of things. I gained a few weeks ago. I did a little rant about becoming a better teacher, and it was a really good refresher for myself as well, about the points of what make a good teacher, and that it was a really good refresher for me. And that sort of thing, definitely helps me. And yeah, and it pushes me to, the other thing is doing this, it pushes me to keep sort of doing it and researching these things, or thinking about these things, and even sort of applying them to my own practice. It's kind of a really good motivation for me also, in that respect. So yeah, I mean, doing the Kendo Show and Kendo RANT, it's absolutely brilliant for myself. I mean, I get so many brilliant, wonderful, humbling comments from everyone telling me how much they enjoy the show, saying thank you for it and stuff like that. And I always get a bit embarrassed reading them out, because it's a bit, when I read them out, and it always starts with like, oh, thank you so much for this brilliant show and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm kind of, you didn't tune in to hear me talk about how good I am, but the but the thing is the other side of that is that it's a really great opportunity, I don't know if opportunity, but a really great experience for me to do these shows, do these rants, and have this interaction with people from around the world. I really love the fact that it helps, I feel like, and what my goal for it is really is to help the international community come together, because, you know, whatever question you guys are asking on here and I'm putting out my answer on here, I'm not, you know, I'm only throwing out what I think the right answer is, but whatever questions you guys are throwing up here, you know, you can't be the only people that have got it. There's somebody on the other side of the world that might watch this video and think, oh yeah, I was wondering about that as well. And they might not agree with what I said, but they might, you know, it might stir something. So yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for how this is going, actually, both for my own progress, my own development in Kendall, and also for what it's bringing, or what I'd like it to bring to the community. So yeah, thank you. Great question. Okay, so that's the questions out of the way. I've already been going on for 20 odd minutes, so I'm going to quickly just talk about something that I think is really important, and it's we hear a lot of Japanese terminology in Kendo, right? There's a lot of Japanese terminology thrown about: ippon, yuko datotsu, mushin, fudoshin, kigurai. These are all things that I hear quite regularly. Yeah, zanshin, kikentai no ichi. You know, these are things that you hear a lot. I feel like, anyway, you know, and rightly so, because they're super important concepts. They really, really are. But there's one that I just don't hear as much as I'd like to, and you know, I doubt it's new to most of you, but it is a word that we perhaps don't think about enough, and it is this one, Riai. Riai, and this is from the official guide for Kendo instruction, by the way, from the All Japan Kendo Federation. Actually, I know you're all going to ask me about this, okay? Yes, these were sold out really, really quickly. I've just taken delivery of new stock today. Probably by the time this video goes out, finally uploads to YouTube, they'll be back in stock on the website, if they haven't already sold out again, because they sell out super fast. Okay, we have the official guide for Kendo instruction. We have the regulations for Shiai, and there's the Boku ni yoru Kihonwaza Keikoho, and I feel like there was another one. Anyway, there's loads of books. There's a few books on there. It's not loads. It's like a handful of books that are from the All Japan Kendo Federation or International Kendo Federation, that we've now got on KendoStar website. They are back in stock. If you want one, snap them up fast, because they sell out like that. Okay, it's on KendoStar.com. You go to accessories, and I think it's called Kendo Books, the category. All right, so go get on there if you want one. And this what I'm about to read is from this one. Okay, the official guide for Kendo instruction. It's one of my favorite books. There's a little fly buzzing around the background. I saw that. Right. Okay, so Riai. Okay. I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to talk about how I interpret Riai and what I think, and why I think it's not talked about enough. It says, the condition in which the waza and movements between oneself and one's opponent are rational and purposeful, and the techniques make sense technically. In Kendo, it is regarded as important to strive to perform waza that fulfill the requirements of Riai. Okay? So, what does that mean? Right. It literally means rationale, yeah? It means the purpose. So, why am I ranting about this, right? It's because we see so often, and, you know, one of the things that I experience a lot, and people come to me after they practice with me, oh, can I have some advice, please? Can I have some advice, please? And this is all different levels, like right up to sort of, you know, people that are sort of 4th dan, 5th dan and stuff, trying out for national teams or what have you, or they might be, you know, trying for the next dan grade and stuff. And they're saying like, why aren't my attacks hitting? How can I improve? And I'm always, my advice is, it often, for me, and this is how I feel when I'm practicing with these people, is that they're lacking the Riai, okay? They're lacking the Riai. And by that, I mean, they're essentially doing Kendo by themselves, all right? They're stood there, okay, I want to attack men next. Yeah, men. Okay, didn't work. Okay, now I want to attack kote. Kote. Okay, didn't work. Okay, next I want to attack. I'm gonna feint for men and hit kote. Kote, like, oh, it didn't work. I wonder why it didn't work. Okay, next I'll try something else. Okay, I'll try gyakudo. Right. Okay, and I'll hit gyakudo. And then this entire thought process is happening entirely within that person on their own, in their own mind. And they're not selecting waza, and they're not selecting strategies based on their interaction with their opponent. They're simply attacking men because they want to hit men. Okay, I want to hit, and this goes back to the guy doing gedan. Actually, you're talking about the people that do gedan. They want to, okay, I want to hit kaishido. I want to hit men kaishido. So I'm going to wait for him to hit men, and then I'm going to do kaishido. They don't have any rationale towards their opponent as to why kaishido is the correct waza to choose in that situation. Yeah. So what has to happen is, as you start to interact, you have to begin then watching your opponent and studying them, and then figuring out, right? You have to then figure out what techniques are going to make sense going forward. Yeah, what's the techniques that I've got to choose? What techniques have I got to select to use to the most effect against the person that stood in front of me, and not just stand there and think, right, I want to attack men, so I'll hit men. I want to try and feint men and hit kote. Okay, and that, and it completely comes from themselves. I'm not saying that these waza are wrong waza, all right? It's perfectly fine to feint for men and then hit kote, right? I've got a whole video about how to beat a blocker, right? But it has to come from a place of seme, and there has to be a place of reason. Okay, you have to, why? All right. Okay, this guy, he often he's a bit twitchy with his hands. So if I apply pressure towards his men, it's likely his hands are going to come up like this, and that's when I can feint that men and hit kote. Okay, because I'm then studying this person, and there's a reason behind my selection of waza. Yeah. Okay. This guy is really looking for debana men. I can feel it. He's really looking for debana men, or he's looking for degote. Another one that they do when they stand in gedan. They're trying to do this kind of on the spot degote, like this kind of reactive one. Okay. So how am I going to select the waza in response to that? Okay. Well, if he's really fishing for that debana men, I can start to apply pressure this way, make him think that I'm going to hit men, and as I do that, he's going to come for that debana men, and I'm going to receive it and return with my own kaishido or nukido, or perhaps I'm going to attack the degote before he even does that. That, it's quite a deep concept, but it's actually simple at its core. It's actually simple. It's just, the concept is simple. It's quite easy to explain, I think. Okay, unless what I'm saying doesn't make any sense to you, then let me know in the comments. But although it's simple, easy to explain, it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to actually put into practice. And the reason for that is mainly because you end up under pressure. You're against somebody who wants to hit you. So this goes out the window when you start just acting off your own instincts and own emotions. And that's where things start to crumble, yeah, and that's why you stop being able to make successful attacks. But you often find that, okay, if I'm, think about it yourself, especially if you're a little bit higher level, if you're like sort of second dan, third dan, certainly fourth dan, fifth dan, you should be doing this by now. But you have to think, like, if you're attacking this your opponent and nothing is working, then it's because you're obviously doing something wrong. Okay, I don't mean wrong in like a technical way, but obviously you're not able to make your attacks. And one of the most common reasons for this is because you're not paying attention to what is happening with your opponent, both physically and in their mind. Instead, you're only focusing on yourself, and you're just doing what you want to do. And your opponent is going to find that quite easy to deal with. So that's why you'll find that a lot of your attacks sort of fall short or don't actually connect. Okay, so have a think about that. Let me know what you think. Is it something that does it make sense to you? Is it as simple as I'm making out? Like I said it's simple, but not easy to do, okay? The concept itself is simple, but actually doing it is difficult. I realise that. especially when you're against a high level opponent. Yeah, because then it's hard to figure out what they're actually going to do. But that's Kendall. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Leave me a comment with more questions. Get in the Kendo Show Early Access group. There's a link in the description down below. Most importantly, make sure you do your Kendo shopping at KendoStar.com. That's the website that I run, that sells brilliant Kendo equipment, obviously shipped worldwide for free, free shipping on everything we've got. It's top quality gear. It's designed specifically with the international community in mind. The Vanguard series Bogu set, the new V1 Bogu set is on sale right now. I mean, that fits into that budget, I think, actually. We've got it on there like €400, about $500, something like that. If you're looking for a startup Bogu set, or if you're looking for something to recommend to beginners at your club, it's the perfect set because it's a great price and it's protective and comfortable. Got a lot of the features from the Vanguard series, actually. And yeah, it's on sale right now, like I say, in the Halloween sale, which is ending on Wednesday. So you've got a few days left to take advantage of that, because we've got the shinais on sale as well. You know, the KendoStar shinais, the Gaia Hakama. There's loads of stuff. All right, KendoStar.com. Go there. Check it all out. That's enough of that. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time.